Well, I'm heading to Halifax to see what's to spare. No way it's on the run. And if nothing's there, well, it's Toronto out west. God only knows where. There's bound to be friends from back home. Ah, well, one thing I know is wherever I go, well, my heart's in Cape Breton. It'll always be so. Never a fiddle, Rawson's a bow. My first and last thoughts are of home. Thank you, guys. I still get up before the day breaks. I still walk on down to the shore. And I watch that sun rising over the eastern ocean, but I don't sail to meet it anymore. How could they let this happen? We saw it coming years ago. Greedy ships just kept getting bigger and bigger, and that sonar told them where to go. Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on a sea of gold. We cast our nets upon the water, Jesus pulled them in. Where am I gonna go now? What about this boat I own? What about this old piano? What about my father's home? Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on a sea of gold. We cast our nets upon the water, Jesus pulled. Someone sang an old sea shanty, nearly told a mainland joke. Kelly cursed and swore till his voice gave out. Then he asked me for a snort. Then he took his father's shotgun, walked to the harbor through the town, fired 14 times for everyone up, and we all watched that boat going down. Last night I dreamed that I was sailing on a sea of gold. We cast our nets upon the water, Jesus pulled them in. I still get up before the day breaks. I still walk on down to the shore. I watch that sun rising over the eastern ocean, but I don't sail to meet it anymore. Excellent.
Himi vuam pata vuam, himi vuam rimulon, himi Cape Breton molua, fata vuam harantal. That's a line from a song written by the nephew of my great-great-grandmother. So that's a distant cousin. Anyway, in that song, Alexander MacDonald is singing,
I see far, far from me, in the distance to the high tide, I see Cape Breton, my love, far from me across the sea.
He was born in 1823, a few miles from the house that I grew up in. But like so many after him, he left for a better life. He could literally see Cape Breton when he wrote the lyrics to this song as a very old man looking across from Cape George in about 1903. And he says in the lyrics,
I have a desire to be with you as I was, though I know for sure I will never return.
he says you, but he's talking about home. Now, I could drive to Cape George in like about an hour and a half. But for him, 1903, that was an impossible distance. And I get it, I get him. But I learned this song when I was very small. I'm telling you this because I want to paint a picture for you about the book that we're here to talk about today. We tell ourselves stories about who we are before we know who we are. And I have been listening to songs about who I was before I knew who I was. And I've been listening to songs that you have been listening to today, before you came in and just now, that told me who I was. Some of these I used in the book. My old cousin Alexander, he's not the only one who would pen a lament. Songs about leaving home became a mainstay of Cape Breton culture and the Maritimes in general. They will sing about a lot of things. They'll sing about longing to return.
How I wish I was with them again.
Sing about leaving.
Over my shoulder, the last time I've seen the old home all weathered and gray.
Sing about economic uncertainty.
Life at home just can't be beat, but who can make a dollar?
Abandoning your roots.
Where am I gonna go now? What about this boat I own? What about this old piano? What about my father's bone?
They ask others to join them away.
Well, they tell of the coming and the going away. The cities of America draw me away.
Holding on to your identity.
Never forget who you are, son, said he. Yes, I follow my brothers away.
And over again, they sing about coming back home.
Home I'll be. Home I'll be. Banished thoughts of leaving. And home I'll be.
They want to come back home.
Always the rivers are calling to me. I hear the sound of sweet melody. When we're apart and I feel all alone, carry me home, carry me home.
Carry me home. So what they are doing is, now let me flex this bachelor's degree in anthropology I have. I spent the entire book trying to pay off. It was totally worth it. What they're doing is something called diasporic longing. Ooh. Oh. The lyrics in these songs, they convey collective memory, economic necessity, the aftermath of political and economic forces that drive people into further or into new diasporic reaches, and they often inhabit the melancholy that's waiting for people there far from home. This has been a part of our culture for so long that even at home we maintain a diasporic sensibility. We are aware of the rifts and the map where everybody is on it and where we are on it. Not that there ever was a time when we were all truly together, but there never also will be a time when we will all be together again. That's the diaspora. This is a culture aware of its losses, the culture that we talk about with one another. It has messages that I'm getting in it from an early age about an adulthood that I will step into. People leave other places for work, but I don't know where else they create entire cultures around it that inform their identity or the value of themselves. That's the thing, value. If you leave a place for generation after generation, eventually you internalize the message that what you love and what you have is not good enough, and what you can get somewhere else is fortunate, no matter what it is. They're not the only songs, of course. There's lots of songs about getting loaded at your cousin's wedding or whatever, and a good time had by all.
Hey, sweet darling, let's go dancing tonight.
That's not why we're here. Sorry. This idea of leaving for work and the history around it, it's personal for everyone. It's familiar for everyone. I can't tell you everybody's story, but I can tell you mine. So the culture informs me, but I also feed neatly into it, like a jigsaw piece that slides neatly into and around other people's edges. And we make the picture, so let me show you. First of all, this is unceded Mi'kmaq land, all of Cape Breton. It's Mi'kmaqi. My history is rooted there, but that's what it is. It's Unama'ki. Our history is a settler one, a colonial one, and so is the story in the book. But people in my area have been in the same village for about 220 years, and they've been leaving it for about 120 of those years. It's a lot of leaving, but I grew up there.
Teacher?
Yes.
Okay. So if they loved it there so much, then why did they leave?
That's a good question. It's the invisible heart of this book, isn't it? Okay. Let me see if I can wrangle this thing. Oh my gosh. Holding on to too much stuff. Thank you. I have toddlers. I'm going to try this out. All right. So. Oh, yeah. So, here's a little Canadian lesson for you guys. Here. This is a map of Canada, okay? Oh, we have some Canadians here? A few. So here we go. This is Canada. This is where all the rich people live. In Toronto. And this is the people in the Maritimes looking tragic. No. That's too simple. I won't say that. I can't say that. The reality is, there is a tendency now to look at the situation from a scholarly viewpoint, and say, don't do that. Don't do what I just did, and don't get too romantic about it because you're bad for that, you East Coasters. Like, no. Don't get too sentimental. Don't blame Confederation for the state of things now. You could have done it differently if only. Don't say that. Just look at the numbers. They always forecast this. You were always too small, too rural, too rocky, too far away, and you were always going to lose people to the bigger players. See, the Atlantic provinces struggled with the loss of markets and reorganization of the modern economy in the early 1900s, and that became a problem that we couldn't climb out of as easily as, say, Ontario. Okay. But it is also true that we are small and on the periphery, and the business of running Canada is engineered to benefit the core. It's not like Canada is inevitable. It is a made-up thing. It is imposed on top of Indigenous land. The real quality export that we have to offer is labor, and it's cheap, and it goes where the engines of capitalism are running. And economic outmigration in Cape Breton, where I'm from, becomes a snake that eats its own tail, becoming over time both the cause and the consequence of decline. And all of this is seen as inevitable. Unless you can change what capitalism is, and not many of us can do that. So, engines of capitalism, wherever they are, they don't run forever though, they boom and they bust, and we do too. We go where the work is, and often we go together. Prosperity elsewhere, at the cost of families and communities torn apart here.
So that's why?
No, that's not, no. Sorry. Sorry, because there's a difference between looking at the numbers and living through the numbers. I think people, they give Cape Breton the once over, and they see things like how much government money was poured into something like Devco, which is a coal mine, and that's millions of government subsidy dollars. And they think, Christ, I'm glad that's gone. Because that was a lot of waste of taxpayer dollars. I have so many of these headlines, sorry. There's a lot of them. And there it is, wasteful subsidies and national addiction. What does it say? Thinly disguised welfare. Basically, fuck those guys. Wasteful subsidies, thinly disguised welfare. Or if you look at population numbers and market trends that bring blow after blow to the region, you think, sure, this makes sense. People leave here for jobs that they can't get at home. But if you had been in Cape Breton when I was in high school and they were shutting everything down, everything. My school, the post offices, everything. The bleakness and the anger, the desperation that was in the air. People's lives aren't numbers. And if they are numbers, we have a few of our own. I was in grade 11 when they shut down the Phelan mine. This was the Phelan mine, closes early right here. And they did that by closing it in the middle of the night before the last day, so that when people showed up for the last day of work, it was already done. I think the owners were already long gone. They wanted to avoid a demonstration by the workers. You can just do that. You can close something in the middle of the night and drive away so that you don't have to watch anyone have feelings about it, which I guess you can, about their livelihoods being lost to them. Corporations and governments do whatever they want. And we know that millions of dollars went into the Devco coal mine, but we also know that 26 miners died at the Westray mine in Plymouth, Nova Scotia, under conditions that they knew were dangerous, just to have a chance to work from home instead of away, because many of them were hard rock miners who came home for that job. That's the mine after it exploded. For the chance to raise their families here instead of away. And after they died, from massive corporate and government neglect of their safety and of their lives, no one went to jail for it. Westray, in spite of the efforts of a lot of people, the families and the lawyers for the families, became a disaster instead of a crime, and a disaster is no one's fault. You know, the guy who owned Westray didn't even show up for the trial. I was 9 when that happened. I went to the wake of Angus McNeil because he was from my village. There was no body because they couldn't get him up out of the ground. And then I knew what my worth was as a worker from my home looking for a job. And I'm talking about these mines that are not the oil sands, but they taught me about working for one. And these are the jobs that we are grateful to have. But still, people's lives are not numbers. I have been to airports all over now. I have never seen parents crying in them watching their kids leave the way they do at the Halifax airport. But that is also not new. Everyone knows this scene. You drive the car away with your mother standing in the front door until the car is out of sight. You can see her in the rearview mirror. She won't go back in the house until the taillights are gone. Why do they leave? Because they have to.
Okay, so can I go use the washroom? Right
No.
now? Oh, sorry.
Ironically, the popular image about Cape Breton is that everyone is lazy and that they don't want to work. But listen, we play along with that. We have a good sense of humor. I'm sorry. Pogie's unemployment checks. And if you get enough stamps, you can get unemployment checks. And then you're living the life, baby. Anyway. Anyway, this pattern of leaving, it's a pattern that I know well because we got all the hits in my family.
I got cousins everywhere, man. I got cousins everywhere. I got cousins in Boston, Montana, Detroit, Sudbury, Elliott Lake, Edmonton, Windsor, Calgary, Halifax, Cork, McMurray, Toronto. I got cousins everywhere.
Wherever they're digging shit up or building shit or whatever, that's where we go. Fort McMurray is just the latest. Mining, harvesting, domestic service, auto factories. My family, like everyone else's, has been to all of them when it was time to go. So we have letters and things gathered from, that I gathered. I gathered them up when I was making the book. I asked people if they had letters, and they gave them to me. The oldest one that we found was from 1904, letters coming back and forth. Let me read you some lines from these different letters.
I'm working steady here. This was once a good mining camp. I would like to see Malibu once more if all goes well. May yet see it. I know it has changed very much since I left.
Hello, my little girl. Well, we got lots of wood home, and we finished digging the potatoes. September is gone. Soon will be Christmas, and my little girl will be home again.
We were up to Elliott Lake last week for 4 days. Would have stayed if we could get work. Couldn't buy a job up there. When we came to the causeway coming back, we had to put our pennies together to get across. Had fun, though. The car is working okay.
How are you? Come back to Cape Breton soon. We're always glad to see you. Thank you for the birthday card you sent. I meant to answer long ago, but Mary was sick at the time. Thanks to good Lord, she's well now. I'd be very lonely if she was sick. Don't forget Cape Breton.
I'm cutting pulp for Ella Huey, making pretty good.